Hello, this is Alekius, and welcome back to another episode of BeamNG with Kiev Motors. Today we have the Warczec's close brother, the convertible version. I'll let you turn your wheels before the race starts. Interesting. I hadn't noticed that before. Warczec Convertible Premium is 2,700 pounds, 900 more than the Warczec LS. Uses a 3-gear automatic transmission, rear-wheel drive, same engine, so its weight to power ratio is pretty significantly different. See the engine there. Same styling, since I forgot to repaint it, except for the chroming of the back interior. So, without further ado, let's get her onto the course. Definitely a bit more sluggish on the uptake. Automation Stig had her at 3 minutes. Wow! Yeah, that weight makes a difference. Although part of that sluggishness is 2 less gears. 3 instead of 5. Okay, she handles reasonably well at higher speeds. Oh man, I'm going to have to increase the braking distances. Alright, coming along. Well enough. Wow, yeah. She's so heavy. Alright, down onto the back straight. See how she does at peak speed. Assuming she gets that high. The weight to power ratio is 25 compared to the 17 of the LS version. High speed cornering is good. We'll start braking a little bit now. Coast a bit. And then... wow. Yeah, I'm glad I started braking early on that one. The handling course is going to be lively. Coming up on the chicane. Come to a stop. Almost slowed down too much, but we got a good angle through the chicane. I've overshot a few times and we've had to zigzag a bit more. Yeah, turning under heavy braking is nothing. Might want to soften up the brakes a little bit on the front. Makes it less desirable in automation, but it would definitely make it a little bit more drivable here. So you're not using your entire braking capability, or the sticky patch on the tire. The grip ability of the tire will not be oversaturated by the brakes alone, giving you some leeway to maintain the ability to steer. Final straight, and we get 319,189. Comparing that to the 256,586 on the LS model. Alright, here we are in the Warczec in CP, Convertible Premium, on the handling course. Alright, handling acceptably. Not having to let up too much, but having to let up some. A little bit of finesse on the gas, and I think she'll be fine. With 3 gears, the gearing is a little bit more jarring, but is not inappropriate for the car, and she still has plenty of power. Just perhaps for a course this short, it's a little bit too much shifting. So if you were to optimize it for this course specifically, you'd shift the gears a little bit to one side or the other. Probably so you stayed in second most of the time. Alright, handling that course fine, that corner fine. Apologize, it's been a very stressful weekend. I'm not always saying exactly what I want to. Alright, that corner handled fine. Coming through. A little sloppy on the entry. Okay, a lot sloppy. The final wide radius turn. Oh, well done. Last turn taken well. And that puts us at a 1:53 4:11. Putting it in 5th place. Alright, here we are on the uphill. Absolutely 0 wheel spin. A little sluggish on the line, off the line though. Shifts at 50. Down and up to the first corner. Real corner, as opposed to that kind of those curves. Slight kinks in the road, they're easy to steer for. No, technically in racing terms those are corners, but for our purposes that's not the case. Coming up on the second chicane. Okay. Despite the weight, still leaves plenty of weight on the forward tires, giving good handling on the uphill. Try to be a little bit more aggressive. And you can see how the shocks definitely more active on this one. Oh, how bad is it? Oh, yep, she's got to pull to the right now. Alright, come around this hairpin. I think that leaves us with one hairpin left up in the snow section. Onto the ice, where with some of Lightning's vehicles, notice the weight definitely helps. There we go. A little too much. Get her straight. A little bit of wheel spin. Hit another one. Maybe it straightened out that wheel. Not that it matters, this close to the end, and across the finish line. A little early on the break. 6th, which that's to be expected considering we had a little trouble on the last section. beat out by the Drumstick Bantam and the Grot SS. And of course the Warczec LS. Here we are on the downhill section. Should be entertaining. Enough weight that we can floor it off the line, but then we have to be careful with the accelerator. First corner, not bad. This will be the one that'll be a little bit more dangerous. Tap the brakes a little bit. Alright, now for the first hairpin. Not too bad. Last bit of ice. Get some brakes. Hit that damnable gutter again. To the hairpin. Might be pulling a little bit, but I have suffered no issues from hitting that gutter. Coming through, plugging those corners close. Now for the wide hairpin. Kink, and then the tight hairpin. Not slowed it down too much, maybe. And entered the corner a little bit too soon. Do our switchback. Second to last hairpin. Floor it through, and we stuck it. So that's a good exit. And a horrible entry on that one. It's fine. For this whole section, we'll see how fast we can get her going. Being careful to let up so we can get the grip for that turn. And there we go. 218.598, which is actually very good. That puts her ahead of the Bantam is the one she beat out. Just shy of the Balo. Also beating out the Cornish and short of the Sleprium and the Warczec. Here we are on the ever accursed city course. Fingers crossed for a straight through run. But we're not too disappointed if we don't make it on the first runs. That usually makes for some decent outtakes. Almost hitting the curb there. Despite being tired, I seem to be handling the corners. And then I completely flub it up that way. Oh, no low end power. Does have reasonably high cams on the engine, so that's not too much of a surprise. That's definitely going to hurt the times. It's okay. Here past the church, onto the downhill. Let's see how those shocks stand up to almost 3,000 pounds slamming into them. First hill, did alright there. Second one, and brakes. That was just about the most beautiful downhill that I've had in the city course. Around the freeway. Maybe she's a little bit more soggy than normal. Maybe I blew the shocks out. Or maybe she's just that heavy and I haven't noticed how much she leans in out in the turns. Okay, enough at 4,000 RPMs is good enough to do the steeper uphills. There we go there. Never thought about it before, but doing this course backwards might actually be better, so you don't have that heavy shock on the downhill leaps. I'm not disappointed though. Carefully into this last corner, which has ended a couple runs. Losing some speed below 4,000 RPMs. On to the final. There we go. 10th. Abysmal. Probably all due to that heavy uphill. I might mark that one to be redone at some point, if I ever get around to it. But that puts it behind the Basque, the Cornish, and ahead of the Buckeye and the Brackle. Here we go on the highway run. Should be interesting to see how her quarter mile and full mile differ from the LS. Alright, second to third happens at 84. Ease over just a tad and take it straight on in. There we go. 8th overall with a 0.54.057. Quarter mile being 0.21.488. So she came in front of the Almea, the Bantam, and behind the Zen GT and the Grot GT. Not too bad. That puts her at an overall 14 minutes, 17 seconds. Just in front of a lot of the drumsticks, except for the surprisingly sporty Bantam. And behind the likes of the Grot. And I don't even like to think of the Rhodzinas. New standard in red times. Alright, for those who are paying attention, you will have seen that we have competition today as well. Coming from Lightning Inc. in Fruinia, we have the Daider Convertible. Fairly comparable. The Warczec CP was made designed in 1965. Hit the market in 1971, the Daider Convertible, 1966 and 1972 respectively. Both convertibles, both two-door convertibles at that. The Daider weighs about 150 more pounds, 160 actually, 161. Rear-wheel drive, just like the Warczec. However, it has a 5-gear manual, which I think will serve it very well. And may be why the automation Stig did 0.9 seconds better in the Daider than it did the Warczec CP. Unusual for our Fruinian brethren, this is an inline 4. 2-liter, single overhead cam, 3 valves, or 12 valves, 3 for each cylinder. And it actually has less horsepower than the Warczec at 92 instead of 110. So its weight to power ratio is A13, which is... it's up there. Only the Rodzinas and half the drumsticks have weight to power ratios that low. But we'll see how well she does on the actual track. About 5,200 RPMs for a red line. A little bit of oversteer on the low end for slow corners. I'm gonna have to be careful of that sportiness. With all those gears, she definitely gets up and goes. Brake early because we know how heavy the Warczec was. The Daider is doing very well though. I think Lightning probably put some pretty hefty brakes in it. We're around there. Onto the high-speed straight. We'll see how her high-speed cornering goes. Shifting into 5th at 80 miles an hour. Not too dissimilar to the Warczec. Okay, she's got a little bit of oversteer at high speed. You have to be careful of counter steering, otherwise you'll start fishtailing and quickly escalate out of control. I really do like those brakes though. I imagine this has really wide tires. Now, those are pretty beefy. Otherwise that braking power just wouldn't translate to the track. Much like the Warczec seemed underbraked. Most likely that's due to the size of her tires. Imagine mostly since anybody who's watched the automation series, I tend to max out the brakes for whatever grip is available. Tend to. There's some times where I take liberties with the front brakes, but the rear ones are usually almost at the limit where they'll lock up. Try not to be timid for this corner. Served me well. And at Lamb's Hope corner, right around the time Automation Stig would be at the finish line. I think that will be a really good time for this car. Bonk. And takes number 5. Ahead of the Sleprim and the Warczec, behind the Grot GT and the Warczec LS. With a lovely 3:13.963. Here we are on the handling course now. I get the feeling this vehicle is a little bit low to the ground. With a good suspension setup for sportiness. Because she handles pretty well, especially with those tires. Gonna come in wider around that corner. Much like the Warczec CP, shifting gears quite a lot, so she's right at a shift point for most of the speeds for this course. Just a lot more lively in the turns, which is a good thing. Well, she's not too lively. Coming around, through, around. And we'll set up for the final turn. Well, arguably you could call it 2 turns. Accelerating it through it, using the oversteer to our advantage. Perhaps a little too aggressive. And comes in 5th again. Ahead of the Warczec Convertible, the Grot GT, behind the Sleprim, and the Bantam. Here we are in preparation for the uphill. Good off the line. Advantage she has over the Warczec Convertible. That first gear isn't quite so long. Come around for that first hairpin. The oversteer is definitely going to do well here, as long as too much weight doesn't transfer to the rear of the vehicle. Oh yeah, that weight transfer was nice. Crisp and swift. On to the 3rd hairpin. Too much brake and a little bit late. Do the 2 90-degree turns. On to the steeper portion of the uphill. Around the rockfall. Kissing the barriers. Here we go. Tight turn. Yeah, I could have used... I probably didn't need to brake for that. Just need to let up on the gas. Onto the ice. Struggling to accelerate, but handling it okay. Definitely not fishtailing as much as the Warczec. Sideways on the ice, but controllable. And there we go. That gives us number 5 again, ahead of the Sleprim and the Warczec Convertible, behind the Bantam and the Grot SS, with a 2:32.876. Here we are on the downhill. The Daider with a little bit of wheel spin off the line. Woo, sideways. The Warczec really didn't have wheel spin off the line. And when there's ice, you would expect that, which tells me she's not very well optimized. Not for the first gear. And she needs her gearing lengthened or I don't think there really is an or, that she needs it lengthened. Tap the barrier again. A little bit of a pull to the right. Around the rock fall. Look in the corner as well. Just can't drive straight anymore. Around the hairpin. Set up for the next one, and just tap the barrier. Coming around. Perfect speed for that. And final hairpin. Much better than the Warczec. Just with an unfortunate pull to the right. And you notice I'm a bit more aggressive on that swerve. It worked out just fine. Oh, knocked a wheel off. Number 2. 2:15.964. Amazing, behind only the Warczec LS. Ahead of the slip rim and the Balo. Here we are on the city course with the Daider. Balmy 75 degrees. Handling just fine as we expected. And with 5 gears to work with, I'm not too worried about the hills. Even though we'll be in lower RPMs. Should have plenty of torque to pull her through. There you go. Past the church and onto the downhill section. Come to the left. It's fine on the downhill. Okay, should have waited a little bit for her to settle before I applied brakes. Came out well though. Nice high profile tires, not too worried about going over that curb. As long as I don't run into a tree. On to the coastal freeway. And there. I could have done that a little bit faster. Second gear, 3000 RPMs, doing just fine on the uphill. Put up on the gas just a little bit to make that corner. And letting up on the gas for that corner as well. But she made it just fine. Past the cement factory. And brake. Handling it just fine. High end of the first gear, no problem with the hill. And now on to final. Bonk. Coming in 7th with a 2:31.931. Ahead of the Zen GT and the Cornish. Behind the slip rim and the grot. Here we are on the highway strip. The car's a little bit wide, so we're going to have to go to the right ever so slightly. Make it through the toll gate. Don't ask me how I know that. 'Cause and hitting the quarter mile at just shy of 21. We're ahead of all but 6, I think. And into 5th, which will be pretty much overdrive, I think. 79 all the way through. I think she'll come in behind the Warczec CP. And this is a factor of how that last gear is set up and the overall power for the vehicle. Yeah, and that puts her down at 9th. Head of the Almea and the Bantam, behind the Warczec CP and the Zen GT. Her quarter mile was 27.57. And the full mile, 0.55.392. Of course, we can't leave without destroying the evidence. So here we are on the off-road course. I think this car will actually do reasonably well at. Oh, I stand corrected. Wow. Rear axle looks a little bit wobbly. No doubt there's plenty of power on this vehicle. See if we can hop from one course to another. Oh, pop the wheel off. No, and we're not going to get it. Oh, and we damaged the other one. Front one. Alright. Third time's a charm. Bunk. And let's go. There we go. Okay, we've lost wheels. We've warped the frame. No one will ever know it came from Farinia. Although the ban on imports is over now. Here's the overall lineup. The Daider came in with an overall 1341.997, which is definitely ahead of the Warczec CP, which validates the automation STIG seal of approval. Not surprisingly, the Warczec did better on the highway strip because of the more powerful engine. Less well on the quarter mile because of the gearing. City course, the Daider definitely advantaged due to the gearing. The Daider did amazing on the downhill. I think that's because of those tires. Uphill it did very well on as in addition. I think that one's more due to the gearing. Handling course probably comes down to gearing. Automation full circuit, I think that comes down to gearing. The three-speed auto just kills the Warczec CP at least, despite having more power and lighter weight. So that brings this one to a close. Please leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I'm happy you stayed till the end. Until next time, take care.